Well, welcome to my outdoor studio at Richie's Roost in Shaco, Mississippi on this, the 3rd of July, 2023. After having spent a couple of weeks in Virginia, it's good to be back and be home. Now, 2 weeks ago, if you recall and you did watch us, we had my son on in his new house, who was explaining maybe the difference, or the similarities actually, between the things run into by combat doctors and missionary doctors, things that maybe they didn't expect and had to contend with. So I hope you enjoyed that. I've had several positive comments on it. But then the next week, I did something I haven't done in years. I just took the week off. So you didn't have to put up with me last week. But we're back home now, and it has been hot as a $2 pistol in Shaco. This is the first day that it's broken down from 100 degrees. I think they're about 90 today. Almost feels like a cold front moved through. And I didn't have any particular thing planned today. There's lots of fireworks going on everywhere and all kinds of patriotic speeches, and they're very appropriate this time of the year. But I just backed off and decided I'd do a couple of little things that you might not have heard and a couple of quotes. Nothing having to do with the 4th of July or the patriotic theme, but just a little video on bits and pieces. Had a Facebook post that my son-in-law sent out that I thought I'd run by with you, and then a couple of other things that I ran into that I thought you might be interested in. But one of the first things I saw, I was going through some stuff to get ready maybe for today and chuck most of it. But there was a saying from Denny Karchman, the cowboy quotes. He said, if you can't look back at your younger self and realize that you were an idiot, you're probably still an idiot. There's some truth to that. And George Bernard Shaw, who was the Irish playwright, famous Irish playwright, said, both optimists and pessimists contribute to society. The optimist invents the aeroplane. He said aeroplane. Optimist invents the aeroplane. The pessimist, the parachute. Some truth to that too. Well, I ran upon something that I hadn't known about a ship called the Essex. I thought you might be interested in. The Essex was an American whaling ship from Nantucket, Massachusetts, that was launched in 1799. And just in case you feel like you've been under a lot of pressure or had some problems, you'll be interested in this, maybe. It might make yours seem a little less monumental. This Essex whaling ship that was launched in 1799 went to sea, and in 1820, while at sea in the southern Pacific Ocean, now the southern Pacific is a long way from Nantucket, Massachusetts, the ship under the command of Captain George Pollard, Jr., was attacked by a sperm whale. The hunter became the hunted. And there was one member of the crew that left these words. He said, "I turned around and saw him about 100 rods directly ahead of us, coming down with twice his ordinary speed of around 24 knots. And it appeared with tenfold fury and vengeance in his aspect. The surf flew in all directions about him with the continual violent thrashing of his tail. His head about half out of the water, and in that way he came upon us and again struck the ship." This guy watched the whale come in and battered the ship. That was written by a man named Owen Chase, who was a surviving crew member of the whale ship Essex. The whale, in fact, did sink the ship. All 20 of the crew survived, but they survived to float around in the South Pacific for 90 days, and only 8 of the 20 made it out alive. And there has been talk of some cannibalism that might have gone on. So that's what you call having a real problem, folks, just in case you might be wondering if you're the only ones these days who may have a problem. Now, my son-in-law sent this post to me, and I thought I'd end up with this little story today. On December the 6th, 2012, at a cross-country race in northern Spain. It was in northern Spain. In one of the most notable moments in sports history, a Kenyan runner by the name of Abel Mutai, I think is the way you pronounce it, was just a few feet from the finish line, ahead of the other runners and just a few feet from the finish line. But he got confused with the signs that were there, the signage, and stopped, thinking he had completed and won the race. Well, right behind him, not too far behind him, a Spanish athlete named Ivan Fernandez realized what was happening, and he started shouting at the Kenyan for him to continue running. But Mutai didn't understand Spanish. Well, Fernandez eventually caught up to him, and instead of passing him, he pushed him the final few feet to victory. And a journalist asked Ivan, "Why'd you do that?" And Ivan said, "My dream is that someday we can have a kind of community life where we push and help each other to win." And the journalist insisted, said, "Well, why'd you let the Kenyan win?" And Ivan replied, "I didn't let him win. He was going to win." And the journalist kept on and said, "But you could have won." And Ivan looked at him and replied, "But what would be the merit of my victory? What would be the honor of that medal? What would my mom think of that?" That points up one very important fact. Values are transmitted from generation to generation. What values are we teaching our children? Let us not teach our kids the wrong way to win. I hope you have a great 4th of July. I'm Jim Ritchie, and I'll see you again, hopefully, next time.